I have deep, deep care for somebody who was such an extraordinary human being as it is Brendan. So when I saw his performance, before anything, I saw his performance, I thought he has to win the Academy Award for this performance.
You're starring in the new film, No Address. So what can you tell us about this movie?
This is a wonderful movie that is going to that deals with homelessness, but it's really being set through a really hopeful story. Yeah. I really do hope that when people watch this film, they're going to love it because it's filled with stars, but it's filled with an incredible story about different characters based on real stories, based on real characters that are dealing with homelessness right now. So the idea is that when you watch the film, you're going to be inspired, but you're going to love the ride.
Of course. And you play Gabriella in the movie. What can you tell us about your character?
Gabrielle, very much like what I do also when I'm not acting. Gabrielle is a woman who dedicates her life on the fight and for homeless, and she's a very spiritual person, and she really does believe that through the power of working in community, she's going to be able to make a difference, and that's most of what I do in the film. She's the one person that a homeless person can come to and know that they're going to get the help that they deserve.
Is that, along with the fact that it's talking about homelessness, one of or a few of the reasons that drew you to this film and the character?
Yeah, 1,000,000%. I have worked with Julia Verdin, the director. I did her last movie about human trafficking. It's a wonderful story about a mother and a daughter here in Los Angeles, and my daughter gets lost to human trafficking. So Julia had already told me about this project. So when she called a few weeks ago to invite me to be a part of the movie, there's no way you cannot, you don't want to, there's no way you would say no to this movie and this project. First of all, the script is wonderful. Julia is wonderful. And most importantly, is dealing with an issue that we are dealing every day in the United States. I mean, here in LA, as you know, is all over. And if there's anything we can do to utilize our art and our craft to be able to bring a message and make you enjoy as you're watching it, then absolutely. What a dream job for someone like us, to be able to participate in it.
Absolutely. And just to be sure, the cast and the crew, they've wrapped up filming this week, right?
We finish next week. Yes.
Next week.
So we have, we only have 2 more days.
Oh, nice.
2 more days.
So overall, how was the experience? Yeah. So overall, how was the experience? Yeah.
The experience has been wonderful.
It has. Okay.
The experience has been wonderful. Of course, it's very, sometimes, this is not a very big budget film. So, right. That you have to be very effective. But I do have to tell you that I'm very, very impressed, Brian, with the crew, because they have been very effective. I mean, it's been raining like crazy. So we had, I think, in the last 3 weeks, I can count with my fingers how many days we had of sun. So there have been cases where we had to reshoot some scenes because they were shot when it was sunny and then it started raining, or vice versa. And they had to change a lot of the locations to bring them inside because there's a lot of rain. So, but in a way, as actors, we can utilize that to make it much more realistic. So when you see the rain, if you were doing a very big budget production, you can pull that amount of rain. But now it's like, how great, we can use it for the film. It looks much more realistic. So I'm very impressed with the work of the crew, for sure. They've done fabulous work.
Absolutely. And you mentioned the cast a little bit. This is an all-star cast that stars William Baldwin, Ashanti, Xander Berkeley, Beverly D'Angelo, Ty Peddington, just to name a few. So I'm not sure how much interaction you had with each cast member while filming, but how was it working with the cast?
It's been, again, when working or talking to you right now, I'm actually feeling what I feel when I'm talking to Beverly or with Billy, or because you responded to this interview request because you care about what we're talking about. So
Right.
the atmosphere in the production, while we're working, while we're going to restaurants, or we're just walking around, or where we're visiting the sites, because let's not forget this movie is being shot a lot along with a documentary, so we're also being a part of this documentary. The experience has been very, very emotional, very very profound. And of course, it's been super fun, because when you put a lot of personalities together that are so well known, you just sit and listen. I'm one of the ones that sits and listen. Yeah. Eventually, I participate. But I'm fascinating with the stories. Beverly starts telling her stories about her movies, or even Billy. I mean, he tells his stories. So it's in Xander is a sweetheart. Mm-hmm. So I just absorb the personalities, and feel very blessed that I've been able to be a part of this.
Absolutely. And, obviously No Address deals with a serious issue going on in the country, as you mentioned, and you also mentioned about the documentary. So what do you want fans to take away from this movie when it comes out and they see it?
Two things. I would like for fans to understand that homelessness is something that can happen to anybody.
Yeah.
When you listen, you sit and listen to these stories, you understand that it's something that is not very far away, and it could happen to any of us. That's one thing. And then the second thing is, there are so many problems in the world, so many problems, Brian, that it's almost, you don't want to, it's one more problem, you don't want to look at it, right? Because we're dealing with so much in our personal lives at home and our work. But what I realize is not only that's something that can happen to you, but I would love for people to just enjoy the movie, because what it is, it's a wonderful story with a really hopeful ending. And if you just have no expectation other than you will watch the movie and you will enjoy it, the message is going to get through. And the message, aside from being a wonderful story, what will tell you is that if we work as a community, we will make a difference, because there are resources out there. So, if you find what's in your heart that you can do about this, like maybe go volunteering. There's so many incredible organizations where you can go help feed the homeless, or in understanding that this is something that can happen to us, also understanding that this is something that can be done and can be fixed if we work together as a community. So those are the two things I would like for people to walk away with.
Right. Yeah, I can definitely see both fans taking away those points when they watch No Address when it comes out in the foreseeable future. But along with what you are doing on No Address, you put together a long career in Hollywood with movies and TV shows. Specifically, most people know you from The Mummy and The Mummy Returns. That starred Brendan Fraser, who just won an Academy Award for his role in The Whale. So what was your reaction when you learned that Brendan won an Oscar?
Well, I'm so proud. I obviously we worked for a few times and for a long time. So I have deep care for somebody who was such an extraordinary human being as it is Brendan. So when I saw his performance, before anything, I thought, he has to win the Academy Award for this performance, to put yourself through this amount of pain in such a special and perfect way, obviously with the direction of Darren. So I am so happy for him, because he's had a tough ride, very tough ride. Yeah. So it's also a big example for all of us, for everybody. It doesn't matter what you do, what your career is, never give up. Because if you're honest and you try to do what you love doing, believe in it, don't give up. Trust me, by default, if you're humble and you work hard, you will get an opportunity to.
Absolutely. That was really a great moment to see him win an Academy Award, especially the career he's put together. And along with what you have done on screen, you've done some producing as well. So how is it kind of working behind the scenes when it comes to movies and TV shows?
Well, one thing that you understand, Brian, as you start in this industry is that no one is going to write your story.
Right.
You have to tell stories because the emotions are similar, the struggles might be similar, but the stories are not similar. So to be able to then take action on being participant in the development of stories is very rewarding. Very rewarding. So I hope, I'm working on 4 more projects that I hope they can be off the ground soon, because you are so satisfied when you feel like you're doing. It's also a really good message for everybody, for that is watching us. That if you do believe in something, you can make it happen. I mean, there's so much content out there already, and there's so many ways of streaming that are great ways of streaming. So if you believe in something, you have a story, go ahead, do it, write it, find someone to write it, find a way to produce it. There are resources out there for things to happen.
Of course. And along with what you have done on screen and behind the scenes, you've done a lot of work as an activist, won some awards for your work as an activist. So why is it important for you to give back?
Well, I understood at the way at the beginning of my career, because, we all have our struggles growing up, that when you are being successful, you are being given opportunities to become successful and to achieve your dreams, there is a responsibility that doesn't come for free. Yeah. I believe that our talents or the things that you might have to interview me now is your talent, myself as an actor is a talent. Those things are given to us for a reason. And to just take it for ourselves and just live in that space, I think there's something not correct about that. But if when you know that you have this talent to maybe do this movie about homeless, or maybe and do actions that give back, I believe that is when you do that is the key for success. I mean, you can do it because you're a good person, but if you're listening right now and you want to hear an advice, everything is like the water, the waves, they go and then they come back, they go and come back. There is a cycle of life that is also very much being taught by the indigenous communities. What do you do? Why the indigenous communities are the biggest that preserve the earth? It's because we take what we need and we give back what we don't need. And that this is a cycle, right? So it's the same thing. When you receive, you give back, you receive, you give back. And it also, let's not forget how happy it makes you, because when you give, the satisfaction that you get, it should not be the reason why you do it, but when the satisfaction is extraordinary. So we started the Wayutaya Foundation over 20 years ago in New York, helping the indigenous communities in Latin America. And, we have grown tremendously. And right now, just last year, we helped over 140,000 people through humanitarian aid, through, food and medicine, supplies, education. We have schools, we have, so it's a community, it's a part of a movement, basically, that we have created with the foundation. And that brings me tremendous amount of joy.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love hearing that. And one last question for me before I let you go is, now that you're wrapping up No Address, you talked about some of the things you're going to be working on in the foreseeable future, but what are some of the projects that you are working on that you can talk about?
Actually, well, I'll tell you about the ones that are coming out, because the other ones are. So we have a wonderful movie called Hispanic Satanics, or Satanic Hispanics. Satanic Hispanics, I think it is. Or Hispanic Satanic. I can remember. So this movie is coming out in the theaters in September. And it's an anthology with five Hispanic directors. So it's an anthology with 5 stories. My story is the funny one. It's so funny, but it's all horrors. And it was and my story is actually directed by the same director that directed Blair Witch Project.
Okay.
So imagine, so it's fantastic. And then Julia is in the process of editing this movie called Maya that deals with human trafficking, and that should be also coming out in the next few months. So those are the two to look out for.
I'm looking forward to it. Well, Patricia, thank you.
That will come out soon.
Yeah, no, yeah, absolutely. That's going to be awesome. But Patricia, thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate it. Congratulations on everything, including No Address, and continued success to you.